Ms. Harley?
Next on the agenda is resolution number 25-2020 to approve a temporary modification to the rental car concession agreement for use with Enterprise Leasing Company of Baltimore, the Hertz Corporation, and Avis Rent-A-Car System, Inc., and their successors and assigns, and authorizing the county executive to execute such modifications agreements. And we do have Mr. Tony Rudy, who is the Assistant Airport Manager, on the video conference with us if there are any questions.
Okay, I need a motion to approve resolution number 25-2020.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. McCain. I need a second. I didn't hear that. Is that you, Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir.
All right, got a second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
Is it possible to give a little bit of a background on this issue and why it's coming up?
Tony?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So beginning in late March, it became apparent that passenger numbers at the airport have dropped off significantly. I started receiving correspondence from the various rental car companies concerned about their business there, and they did ask for relief, which included waiving of their minimum annual guarantee, which aligns with their current agreement with the airport. So that's why we are presenting this tonight.
Okay. Any more questions?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
John Cannon, Tony, how are you?
Hi, John.
I have a concern that what we're looking at tonight is a lease or an agreement that ended in 2010, 10 years ago. My first reaction was I thought that it should probably come back to the council as a new lease, effective 2020.
Mr. Cannon, I agree with that. Can you elaborate, Tony?
I can a little bit. I do have a little history on this. So when Dawn Veach came to the airport, it became apparent to her after a while that some of the lease agreements or concession agreements have lapsed. She was working on this as of last year, starting, I believe it was about mid-year in summertime, starting negotiations with the rental car companies to bring these agreements up to date. Most of those negotiations finished late last year and in January of this year. And the airport's been working to finalize a new agreement, which we're going to bring forth to council early this year. Unfortunately, with events that have happened over the past couple of months, that did not happen. And at this time, it seems a little premature to enter into a new resolution with rental car companies. It wouldn't seem beneficial to them under the circumstances right now. But they have been operating under the terms of the old agreement on a month-to-month basis, including paying us the minimum annual guarantees and other fees that are associated with the agreement.
I guess if I could, to be clear, what exactly is the in the concession? What is the total amount that we're suggesting it be forgiven for the public to know?
So on a monthly basis, between 3 rental car companies, we're talking in the neighborhood of $12,916 per month.
A total.
They would still be required to pay a percentage of their gross revenues.
And my concern is that, with this being a national company, I guess, if not even an international company, I think if Wicomico County were going to be, giving any type of relief, I would rather take those funds and have the council search out local businesses that might need relief, as opposed to a national or international company, to be quite honest with you. That's why we're here today, as to, to discuss this openly, because it is taxpayer money that we're looking at.
Tony?
I guess as a point, they are requesting this relief nationwide, not just out of our community. So this is happening at airports all across the country.
They aren't finding this sort of relief through the CARES Act?
And not to my knowledge, no. The airlines are receiving some relief, but as far as I know, I have not heard of any rental car companies.
I just don't see where the local jurisdictions are at, really are at that point where we are just yet beginning to decide, how to give relief to companies. And again, I would certainly want to give that relief to local companies, reaching out to maybe the Chamber of Commerce to find what local businesses are getting ready to go under, and redirect those funds to maybe one or two of those businesses, if at all.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Tony.
Ms.
Yes.
Ackles?
I just have a question. Now, is this enterprise? Is this a franchise that's owned locally?
They do have, and forgive me for a minute. This is their local station here that's at the airport. I believe they also have.
Have two more stations in Salisbury.
Yes. Okay, I was aware of one. I wasn't aware of two. So it is a local one at the airport.
Okay. So it's a local business that owns that bought the franchise, is using the franchise.
No, I don't think so.
Well, it's a company out of Baltimore, I assume.
Tony?
So do they own the other two locations in Salisbury?
Mr. Davis? Tony, did you hear that question?
I'm sorry.
Do they own the other two locations in Salisbury?
That I'm not sure of.
Mr. Holloway, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Tony, thank you for being here or being where you're at. I see on our next resolution, it's a concession modification for the parking lot. And I guess my question is, how many other vendors on the airport are going to be coming forward wanting concessions on rent or commissions, a partial commission that they pay us or whatever? Have you heard anything about that?
No, as far as we're not entertaining any concessions on rent right now, but these are the only agreements that we get fees for based on sales, based on their revenue.
Have you heard from any of the other folks? I know we got restaurants, fuel guy, a third fellow out there that does the airplanes. Have you heard anything from them about concessions? I know the business is like 95% down.
No, I have not.
Let me rephrase that. Do you expect that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, you're breaking up.
I said I'll rephrase that question. Do you expect them to come?
I cannot say at this point if we expect that or not. I mean, the other, like you mentioned, fuel flowage. I mean, that comes. We get a fixed amount per gallon. So whatever they sell, we get that fixed amount.
Okay, so there's no other rent involved in that.
No, other than their lease space.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cannon, did you have another question? I see you're unmuted.
Oh, I forgot to mute, but I would really say I'd like to, I think, I hate to do this, but I would like to make a motion to postpone this resolution until we have an exact idea of what the amount, the obligation is going to be, the dollar amount is going to be. I'd really like to see an updated lease.
John, you're not asking the table, are you?
No, I said I didn't want to do this, but I'm making a motion to postpone. And Mrs. Hurley, I'm not even sure what the rest of that sentence is supposed to be.
You need to either postpone it indefinitely or postpone to a certain date.
I'd say postpone indefinitely, and then we could bring it back.
If we're going to postpone it, I would say we postpone it to the next meeting. Tony, you can probably get us that information, correct, to answer Mr. Cannon's question?
Sure. I have the, like I said, I have the amount that we receive monthly. basically that we would be losing that. We would still be receiving 9% of their gross revenue. So, you know, it wouldn't be the full roughly $13,000 a month, but that would be the maximum amount.
I mean, I'll just say, I mean, personally, I'm fine with it as presented. But if you could, you know, if there's questions to be answered, but I think you've actually answered the question.
I know there was a motion on the floor, but I'd like to ask a question as well. Tony, are you listening?
Yes.
Are you, how many months did you say? You said 12,000 something, and I thought you said 3 months.
Well, monthly between the 3 rental car agencies, their minimum annual guarantee is $12,916.
About 13,000.
And then, yes, and then there's a percentage of gross if they go over that. It's whatever number is greater that they pay. So it could actually be a little bit more than that. And the way the agreement was written is that if passenger numbers drop off more than 25%, then this kicks in. The minimum annual guarantee is waived, and they pay just strictly percentage of gross revenues. So really, we aren't straying from what was written in the original agreement, and this is pretty typical nationwide at airports.
So a question I had, are they going to pay that back? Is it a temporary waive, or are they going to pay it back?
No, there was no request for a temporary waive. This was till passenger numbers get back to 75% of their normal rates.
So I'm afraid what's going to happen is all businesses are going to ask for waiving the fees, and we got to make that up.
Well, I think what it should do is see if each one of these rental companies, if it's through the corporate or they privately owned. Because I think they might be privately owned instead of corporate.
Yeah, I think they're locally.
I think they are locally owned. Each one of them, I don't think they're franchised.
I'd like, how about if I made a motion to postpone until the next meeting so that we could have information as to who the companies are? Not only that, but I would like to know specifically with information that specifically shows that they aren't receiving PPP, that they're not receiving any other funding through the CARES Act. Anybody can ask for money, but I just like to make sure that there's, everything else has been looked at. That's a motion.
And find out if they also own the other 2. I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion?
Can you repeat the motion?
Yeah, sorry. Just to postpone until the next meeting.
Yeah, okay.
That date is May the 19th.
The May 19th meeting.
Yeah.
So I'd like to put this out there. If any council members have any questions, can we forward them to Miss Hurley and she forward them to Tony?
Good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, roll call on postponing this 25-2020. Ernie Davis.
Aye.
Aye.
Blackley. Josh Hastings.
Aye.
Joe Holloway.
Aye.
John Cannon.
Aye.
Bill McCain.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So passes unanimously till the next meeting. All right, Ms. Harley.
The next item is resolution number 26-2020 to approve a temporary modification to the parking concession agreement with the Republic Parking System LLC and authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement.
Okay, have a motion, need a motion to approve resolution 26-20.
So moved.
Who said that? Do you, Josh?
Jonathan Hastings.
Okay, got a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
Is this agreement similar to what we just talked about?
Tony?
Yes, it is similar. However, we did put a limit on it until the county lifted the state of emergency. But it is a similar agreement to the rental car concession.
I remember, I believe the reason that we're still using this company was the fact that in accordance with our agreement with this company, that when we went through the recession, they actually continued to maintain these payments throughout that period of time, even though the country was in recession at the time. So I'm curious as what has changed as far as their mindset in regard to that.
Well, I don't want to answer this for Tony, but this situation for airports is much different than the recession. I mean, airports are, there's not many people on an airplane right now. So it's pretty catastrophic to them for the time being.
Keep in mind that this parking agreement is one of the single most largest incomes we have from the airport. I'm sure Tony could tell you that. They have been there a long time, and we don't want to lose them. So I think I could support this concession.
Again, I really would like to know how much money we're talking about as a concession.
So the minimum annual guarantee for public parking is $22,916 per month.
And how many months is the concession for?
They're asking, how many months are they asking relief?
Yes.
Well, they've asked relief for 3 months, and how the resolution is worded is we will grant that as long as Wicomico County's under a state of emergency. And I guess after that point, we can revisit this, even though their agreement does go on to say, similar to the rental car companies, if passenger numbers drop below 25% of their normal, this can carry on.
I would feel much more comfortable if there was a ceiling on this number. And again, I guess we have to balance the benefit of a $66,000 contribution to a business that works at the airport, as opposed to a business that works and is trying to survive anywhere else in the county.
We have a lot of businesses like that, unfortunately. Any more questions for Tony?
Tony, Councilman Hastings, is that accurate? Would it be clear, would that be roughly $66,000 or so?
If it was for 3 months, yes, a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and just so it said, I agree with Vice President Cannon's original comments regarding the airport. Obviously we're in a tough situation. Obviously we're all in this together here, but we don't want to be giving away public funds to corporations or groups that can actually handle, they can take the hit, or if they're getting funds elsewhere, which is likewise, it's probably the scenario that could be happening. I don't really know I don't want to obviously hurt the airport. I don't want to do anything to, that's a sensitive area, and I want the airport to grow, but there's certainly if we give one quote-unquote bailout to one group and then to the next, I don't know where that ends. There's something that we need to be careful with, and it's a tricky situation. So the more we could have on this, the better. That's all I'll say on that.
If I could make a motion to postpone until our meeting on May 19th.
Got a motion to postpone this until the May 19th meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman Hastings seconded it. Any discussion?
I think it's on the same lines as the previous request. I think the same questions should be asked, especially if they're getting any funding from the CARES Act.
Yeah, I agree. Any more discussion, Nicole?
No.
Okay. All right, roll call. Voting to postpone this to the May 19th meeting. Attorney Davis,
Aye.
Nicole Hastings, no, I'm sorry, Nicole Ackley,
Aye.
Josh Hastings,
Aye.
Joe Holloway,
Aye.
John Cannon,
Aye.
Bill McCain,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Votes unanimous to postpone till the May 19th meeting. All right, thank you, Tony.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Charlie? You have anything else?
Mr. President, that is all I have.
Okay, moving on to county council attorney, Bob Taylor.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. The one legislative matter for introduction tonight, it is bill number 2020-04, introduced by the council president at the request of the county executive, and it's the annual budget bill. And I'll read the preamble. The annual budget and appropriation bill of Wicomico County, Maryland, to adopt the county operating and capital budget consisting of the general fund revenue and expense budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, the capital improvement plan, open paren CIP, close paren, for 2021-2025, and to appropriate funds for all expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020, and ending June 30, 2021, as hereinafter indicated. And of course, there's going to be a large budget document attached to it. In the briefing book, I think that there's a reference to where you can find that proposed budget book.
Okay. Anything else? All right, need a motion to introduce legislative bill 2020-04.
So moved.
Mr. McCain, I need a second.
Second.
Mr. Hastings, any discussion? Any discussion? All right, Ms. Hurley, for the record, when does this have to be voted on? By? Ms. Hurley?
She's muted.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think she's muted.
Believe it.
Per the charter, the bill has to be voted on by June the 1st unless you extend that date by resolution.
Okay, any more discussion?
We
Mr.
will
Cannon?
be having, I'm assuming that we're going to have a public hearing. So is this public hearing going to be through Zoom?
Tomorrow night? Yes, I'm going to read that after this.
All right.
All right, no further discussion. Roll call. Ernie Davis,
Aye.
Nicole Ackley. Nicole,
Aye.
thank you. Josh Hastings,
Aye.
Joe Holloway,
Aye.
John Cannon,
Aye.
Bill McCain,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, the legislative bill 2020-04 is unanimously introduced. Just for the record, we are going to have a budget hearing tomorrow night, May 6th at 6 p.m. by video conference, just like we're doing right now. We ask anyone that would like to speak tomorrow night to please register in advance by contacting the council administrator at L. Hurley, L-H-U-R-L-E-Y, L-Hurley at wicomicocounty.org. The Zoom meeting invitation is posted as a public notice on the county's website and the council's webpage. And the proposed budget for your pleasure is also posted online. So with that said, moving on to public comments. Ms. Hurley?
We have several public comments tonight. So Lynn, Sandy, and I will be alternating on them.
Thank you.
The first one, it says, my name is Jessica Lee. I live on Malta Avenue in Salisbury, Wicomico County, Maryland. I am urging all members of the county council to adopt a Second Amendment resolution. This same email was submitted by several citizens in our county. I'm not going to repeat the email, but I will read the names that submitted the comment. So it was also submitted by Jeffrey Holliday, Tim Wirtz, Chris Shawn, Deborah Book, James Colburn, Charles E. Foskey, David Cooper, Ryan Haney, Angela Bennett, Robert Thomas, Lawrence Kent, Alexandra Lee, Dan Henderson, Bobby West, Cynthia Hastings, Greg Sims, Charles Sims, Gregory H. Williams, Chip Cockey, Richard Hall, Harold Dean Brittingham, Tony Nowles, Cody Rebel, D. Shane McDade, Chad Cantwell, Spencer Griffith, Ernie Atkins, June Ventra, Brian O'Hara, David Haynes, Donald R. Carney, Charles Burgeon, Rick Moore, Robert Thomas, Ryan Banks, Brent Franklin, Linda Luckman, Andrew Spurrier, Ricky Morris, Elizabeth Fleming, Edgar Fleming, Brian Satterfield, Robert McGrath Sr., Nathan Keplinger, Robert Ford, Phil Perdue, Sandra L. Marine, Preston Davis, Doug Powell, Mike Lowland, Edward Tribeck, Sherry Cook, Jeffrey Cartwright, Dawn Robertson, John Williams, Rick Adamo, Patricia Winkleman, Ryan Heath, Trey Say, Richard Gooding, Glenn Summers, Aaron Hogue, Adam Bradshaw, Jason Levy, Antonio Rodriguez, Georgia Purdue, John Ashlock, Christopher Scott, Brian Hooper, Brian Bishop, William Weaver, Elizabeth Vincelli, B. Sherman, Charles Hendricks, Donald Duncan, Renal Harrell, Martin Rogers, Trevor Lewis, Bruce Wagner, Tom Crawford, Jeffrey Alexander, John Flora, and John Brenner.
Okay, next is from Kevin Matthews. He says, I live on Lillian Street in Hebron, Maryland, Wicomico County. I have been a resident of Wicomico County for the entirety of my adult life. As a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment in general, and as a proud American, I urge you all to pay close attention to the requests you are receiving for adopting the Second Amendment Sanctuary Resolution. Your consideration in this matter is not only requested by the people that you represent, it is required. Therefore, I am requesting the County Council to adopt a Second Amendment Sanctuary Resolution. Your time and attention to this email is greatly appreciated. Signed, Kevin Matthews.
Next, this is from Lee Robertson of Wicomico County. I have lived and hunted in Wicomico County since 1964. As I get older, I see more of my Second Amendment rights disappear due to uninformed elected officials passing laws before fully understanding the harm this is doing to our county. All law-abiding citizens in Wicomico County are losing their Second Amendment rights every year. We must have a sanctuary put in place to protect us from what we seem to have no control over. What we say is always cast aside when the time to vote begins. I strongly urge the Wicomico County Council to adopt a Second Amendment Sanctuary Resolution to uphold our Constitution and support our Second Amendment freedoms. Sincerely, Lee Robertson.
Okay, the next one is best wishes to the council members. My name is Dan Niblett. I am a resident of Wicomico County and I vote in every election. I am urging all members of the County Council to back the Wicomico County residents by adopting a Second Amendment Sanctuary Resolution. The Second Amendment is critical to our freedom, and the state of Maryland has done nothing but make it more and more difficult for citizens to exercise this important right. Thank you for your consideration. Okay.
Next, I was born and raised in Wicomico County, and I reside in Wicomico County since 1968. This is from Matthew Miller. As a longtime resident of the Eastern Shore, we embrace the outdoor hunting and shooting sports tradition. The continued attacks against our constitutional rights by those who are in public office and other officials is irresponsible. Continuing to propose more regulations and rules at every legislative session does not enhance public safety. Lack of knowledge on how the proposed legislation affects the citizens of our county and state, along with misleading facts and data used to pass these changes, is irresponsible and misleading. The crime data posted by the FBI in showing a well-armed and educated populace will actually lower crime statistics. My family members have served our country and stood to protect our rights as free and independent citizens since the Revolutionary War. We continue to serve and die to this day. For these reasons and others, I strongly urge the Wicomico County Council to adopt a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution to uphold our Constitution and support our Second Amendment freedoms. Sincerely, Matthew Miller.
Okay, the next one is, my name is Mitchell Merritt, and I am a Salisbury resident and registered voter who has lived in Wicomico County for over 30 years. I encourage everyone on the council to join us in preserving our Second Amendment rights and adopt a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. Many laws are being enacted to control law-abiding citizens. They fail to address the larger issues of criminals murdering fellow Marylanders, mostly innocent, in the streets. Sincerely, Mitchell Merritt.
Next, this is Paul Downs, Wicomico County resident. I am writing urging the council to adopt a 2A sanctuary resolution. I'm a longtime gun-owning, responsible, law-abiding citizen of Wicomico County. It is my opinion that we do not need any more laws infringing on my Second Amendment right. My family and I enjoy many safe hunting and target shooting times in our lifetime. We do with no issue and teach the importance of safety and value of life, along with the importance protecting our own life and that of our loved ones. Increasingly, more gun laws do more harm to the law-abiding citizens and have little to no effect on the criminals. I urge and charge you to be the voice of your people. Thanks and God bless. Paul Downs.
Okay, this next one is from Brian Cook. He says, good evening. I would like to have this email read into the record as to encourage our local officials to support our efforts to pass a resolution supporting a sanctuary county. These actions send a clear message to the state level that we as a community support the Constitution and stand clear on our rights of personal protection. Time and time again, Annapolis tries to institute laws that are unconstitutional and oppressive to our way of life in our pursuit of life, liberty, and freedom, as the first paragraph of the Constitution states. Armed citizens not only serve as a deterrent against threats of violence against them, but use these tools for food and sport. So again, support this measure. Thank you, Brian Cook.
This is from R.S. Mitchell, Wicomico County. He says, as a lifelong resident of Maryland, I am appalled at the way the state has treated legal gun owners in the past few years. The amount of firearm laws and the fact that they treat the honest firearm owners is horrible. The fact that none of these laws are to make stiffer penalties for criminals show that it's just forced gun control. To show Annapolis that this is not the view in this area is important. Please support this movement, which is also endorsed by Sheriff Lewis. Thanks for your consideration, R.S. Mitchell.
Okay, the next one is, hi, my name is Haley Bennett, and I'm a resident of Wicomico County. I'm a senior in Mardella Middle and High School. This was supposed to be one of the best years of my life, but as many of you know, the pandemic has changed all of that. But to me, this pandemic is only a small piece that is changing my life. The real pandemic is the crooked politicians who want to rewrite the Constitution. I ask every one of you, do you agree that this should be done? In 1997, my dad joined the military and took an oath to do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. He did this so all of us could keep our freedom. I did some research and found that one of you took the oath similar with the Maryland State Police. I'm assuming you took many paths since you retired from there. I'm asking you think about that oath. I also found out that one of you is an active hunter. I'm asking you how it would make you feel if you can only hunt with one shell while waterfowling. There is another member from my hometown of Mardella who grew up in Athol like me. I can honestly say I always thought no matter where you laid your head down at night, you would always be called a warrior. But for some reason, I think you lost your way. I thought if anyone would back the Second Amendment resolution, it would be you. But hey, I'm only 18. I guess I got a lot of disappointment I'm going to go through. So that brings me to my topic of the Second Amendment. Its states shall not be infringed upon. Over the last several years, the crooked politicians in Annapolis have been introducing these unconstitutional bills. Only reason they do introduce these bills so they can keep their district in the next election. Many of them don't even know what they are talking about. Yes, I watch them online when the bill goes up for review. Crooked politicians pushing unconstitutional bills. In other words, Sesame Street on cops. I'm young and I want to defend myself, and the way it's going, I don't see it happening. It's about time the Eastern Shore stands up against Annapolis for passing these bills. Sorry to be straightforward, but my grandfather, Wallace Bennett, also known as Whitey, taught me never to beat around the bush. I'm urging you to pass the Wicomico County Second Amendment resolution and don't become one of those crooked politicians just to win your district next term.
Next, my name is Norman Bennett, and I'm a resident of Mardella Springs, Wicomico County, Maryland. I recently read an email. It stated that a large trend in our government, lawmakers or elected officials, don't want to pay attention to the law. You said you took an oath and stand for the Second Amendment, but won't take part in governmental gimmicks, and we need efficient and effective way with taxpayer dollars. I have a problem with this. I don't see this as a gimmick, especially when studies show that law-abiding citizens are not the ones to be going after. A study suggested that the most common policy prescriptions offered by advocates on each side of the debate over gun control, comprehensive background checks, and assault weapons bans on one side, and so-called right to carry laws, reducing restrictions on civilian concealed carry of firearms on the other side, do not seem to be associated with the incident of fatal mass shootings. During this study, it was concluded that only 28% of mass shootings had some connection to domestic violence, but yet I find no information nor evidence that politicians design bills to keep our arms from perpetrators. What a surprise. With all the research demonstrating that laws prohibiting persons under domestic violence restraining orders from possessing firearms or with prior convictions for violent misdemeanors were associated with reduced intimate partner homicides. Another study showed that over 50% of shooting deaths happened because of gang violence, but left out of analysis because it focused on mass shootings. Mass shootings do not involve assault rifles, but many involve large capacity magazines, LCMs. This may explain why they found that LCM bans were associated with significant reductions in the incidence of fatal mass shootings, but that bans on assault weapons had no clear effect on either the incidence of mass shootings or the incidence of victim fatalities from mass shootings. So politicians and all their efforts, laws and legislation and money and time spent is fruitless and have no effect on mass shootings, but they act out fear and disregard the science. Groups of people have been fighting for the Second Amendment rights in Maryland for some time now. I want you to think about your statement. Efficient and effective way with taxpayer money. Maryland has been trying to pass these unconstitutional bills for years. And again, they're using the pandemic to push bills through without the say of the public. They know there's a stay-at-home order and quickly tried to pass these bills. Is this how our tax dollars get used? To pass unconstitutional bills where we can't voice our feedback? How did it get this far in the first place? Is there not a Second Amendment? You say you stand for it, but yet won't back the resolution up because it's a governmental gimmick. Tell me how it's a gimmick. In my eyes, the Second Amendment is constitutional. You took an oath, and in that it said somewhere or somehow you will uphold the Constitution. I'm baffled that you put the Constitution in your statements, but yet failed to back it up. You also said that the law can be changed or corrected quickly. I take it that's why so many unconstitutional bills are being passed on law-abiding citizens, but yet criminals run free. In Marbury versus Madison, certainly all those who have framed the written constitutions contemplate them as forming the fundamental and paramount law of the nation, and consequently the theory of every such government must be that an act of the legislator repugnant to the Constitution is void. Look at Harriet Tubman. Would you prefer that she had abided by unconstitutional laws and now not help slaves get free? Would you prefer that Rosa Parks had remained in the back of the bus until the law was fixed? Would your position on the county council be against the rights of the people because an unconstitutional law was passed? In the District of Columbia versus Heller, the Supreme Court handed down a landmark decision that held the amendment protects individual rights. Our rights are being infringed on the rights of abiding firearm owners, placing them under constitutional attack through state legislation that hampers the Second Amendment. Compare issues with guns to a person who excessively breaks the speed limit and ends up killing another individual while doing so. You don't arrest the car, you arrest the guy who was speeding. Laws are already in place for those who have committed crimes, and additional laws hamper law-abiding citizens. How long will the government waste our taxpayer dollars with this unconstitutional attack on our Second Amendment right? I'm urging you to vote in favor of the Wicomico County Second Amendment Sanctuary Resolution. A well-regulated militia being unnecessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the next one is from Vance Webster Jr. of Parsonsburg. He says, members of the council, as a lifelong resident, property owner, business owner, and public servant, I ask you to support the Constitution and protect the rights of our fellow county residents by sending a message to the legislators in Annapolis that Wicomico County will not stand for their infringements on any of our rights. I urge you to pass this resolution and declare Wicomico County a Second Amendment sanctuary county. Respectfully, Vance J. Webster Jr.
Next is from Kurt Cantwell. I am a Wicomico County resident. I'm urging all the members of the county council to back us Wicomico County residents by adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. The county council must value our liberty, freedom, and right to keep and bear arms. I'm an avid hunter and sportsman and provide food for my family by practicing the use of my Second Amendment rights and really need to keep them to provide for my family.
All right, next is Jesse Ferguson. He says, hello, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing this evening in support of the movement to declare Wicomico County a Second Amendment sanctuary. I have been following the legislative sessions in Annapolis for many years now, and every year I see further and further encroachment on our national right to defend ourselves. Wicomico County needs to send a strong message to Annapolis that our rights are not to be infringed upon. Unfortunately, our current situation prevents public attendance of county meetings, so this email will have to do. I urge all members of the county council to stand with the residents of Wicomico County and support a resolution declaring the county as a Second Amendment sanctuary. Thank you for your time, Jesse Ferguson.
Next is from Jean Throw. I was born in Dorchester County, but have lived in Wicomico County since 1973. A lifelong resident of the Lower Shore who embraces the tradition of hunting specifically and shooting sports in general, I find the current actions of some of our elected officials incomprehensible. Their continued attacks on constitutional rights are unconscionable. More proposed rules and regulations, such as those proposed every legislative session that attack the rights of the citizenry, will not enhance public safety. These proposals, championed and advanced by many, only serve to impose onerous regulations and possible heavy penalties on the law-abiding citizens while doing nothing to stop criminals. Many elected officials have no knowledge or practice experience with the very firearms and accessories they seek to regulate. It is also readily apparent that they have not studied FBI crime data tables or other legitimate sources to obtain information, but rely on emotion and bias, ill-informed people to get their data. For these reasons and others, I strongly urge the Wicomico County Council to adopt a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution to uphold our Constitution and support our Second Amendment freedoms.
Okay, next is from Pat Robinson. Dear council members, my name is Pat M. Robinson. I am a resident of Hebron, Wicomico County, Maryland. I am writing you today with great concern. This great concern is not only with the current pandemic, but with the continued onslaught against our civil rights. Since 2013, there has been a continued onslaught against our civil rights, mainly our right to keep and bear arms. This onslaught has been perpetuated by extremists in our state and federal legislators whom are backed by extremist organizations that push for extreme gun control under the guise of common sense gun safety legislation. There is no common sense in the reasoning or in their vision of gun safety. They target law-abiding citizens while relaxing penalties against criminals. Now they have even called for the release of criminals prematurely because of this pandemic. With this current pandemic, we have seen new gun owners at a rate never seen before. Firearm dealers and firearm educators are busier than ever before. Our citizens are facing great concerns, which are a pandemic, convicts being released and immediately reoffending, a crippled economy, and people stuck at home more than ever before with a fear of a home invasion. The extremist solution is to shut down gun shops so that law-abiding citizens cannot defend themselves. Thankfully, our governor ignored them for now. These same extremists have vowed to make next legislative session even more volatile towards our rights. I am urging you to pass a Second Amendment resolution to show Annapolis and DC that Wicomico County backs their citizens' rights and backs our sheriff and local law enforcement upholding the Constitution. Thank you for your time in hearing my concerns. Sincerely, Pat Robinson of Hebron, Maryland.
Next, we have a public comment from Kevin and Julie McCamey. My name is Kevin L. McCamey. I am a resident and businessman of Wicomico County. I am urging all the members of the County Council to back we the people of Wicomico County in our rights by adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. Article 6, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution, also known as the Supremacy Clause, reads as follows. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Furthermore, in the monumental landmark case of Mulberry versus Madison, it was reinforced with this writing. Certainly, all those who have framed written constitutions contemplate them as forming the fundamental and paramount law of the nation, and consequently, the theory of every such government must be that an act of the legislator repugnant to the Constitution is void. Mulberry versus Madison 5 U.S. at 177, 1803. That means that even a local government may take it upon themselves that not only will they not abide by or enforce any unconstitutional laws, but may say, rather should say, we will not comply. Adopting a 2A sanctuary county resolution will provide reassurance to the citizens as well as protection, not only to the everyday law-abiding citizens, also to law enforcement to aid them in abiding by their oath to uphold the Constitution. Adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary will also send a message to Annapolis and DC that Wicomico County will not comply with unconstitutional violations of their citizens' rights, but will also defend those rights in court if need be. Thank you very much for your support of this resolution. Best regards.
All right, next is from Susan Bowman, and she says, my name is Susan Auersler Bowman. I was born and raised in Wicomico County and am a current resident. My uncle, Raymond Watson, was a renowned gunsmith in Wicomico County who taught me how to use and respect firearms at an early age. As I got older, I came to value my Second Amendment rights as a law-abiding citizen to keep and bear arms. It concerns me that Second Amendment rights for citizens of Wicomico County may disappear due to officials passing laws without fully understanding the initial harm to our county and the even longer-term negative effects to losing one of our basic rights. By way of this email, I urge all the members of the County Council to support Wicomico County residents by adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. Thank you for your support. Best regards, Susan Bowman.
The next comment is from Wen Bowman. My name is Wen R. Bowman, and I'm a resident of Wicomico County. It concerns me that more of my Second Amendment rights may disappear due to elected officials passing laws without fully understanding the negative effect that disallowing this freedom will have on all citizens of our county. It is our basic freedom to keep and bear arms. Please don't treat that trust lightly. I strongly urge all the members of the Wicomico County Council to uphold the Constitution and support the rights of Wicomico County residents by adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. Thank you in advance.
Okay, the next one is from Randy Morris. Dear council members, my name is Randy Morris, and I am a resident of Wicomico County, Maryland. I am urging you to show your support for Sheriff Lewis, the rights of the citizens of Wicomico County, and the U.S. Constitution by adopting a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. I have read that one of you cites upholding the Constitution as a gimmick. I find that greatly concerning that a member of my county council would find securing the rights of his fellow residents a gimmick. I guess he would refer to the Constitution and the Supreme Court as a gimmick as well. In Article 6, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution, it reads, "This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution of law or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Yet states will violate this every session by proposing and often passing laws contrary to the Constitution and violate the rights of its own citizens. In the Supreme Court, a case was heard that reached a monumental decision regarding this. That case was Marbury versus Madison, 5 U.S. at 177, 1803, which reads, "Certainly all those who have framed written constitutions contemplate them as forming the fundamental and paramount laws of the nation, and consequently the theory of every such government must be that an act of the legislator repugnant to the Constitution is void. The theory of Wicomico County government must then be that an act of the Maryland legislator repugnant to the U.S. Constitution is void. Anyone on this council that would oppose securing the rights of the people, including the rights to keep and bear arms found in the Second Amendment, would have also opposed Rosa Parks moving to the front of the bus or not giving up her seat. even though it was her right to be treated equal, but the state said no. So I ask each of you on the Wicomico County Council, will you uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Second Amendment therein, which Maryland ratified in 1788? Will you support and secure the rights of the people in Wicomico County by adopting the Second Amendment Sanctuary Resolution? Or will you call it a gimmick and stand by like a politician in Nazi Germany and watch citizens' rights be stripped as laws get passed that criminalize law-abiding citizens?
Next, my name is Brian Cook. I live in District 3. I would like to encourage this body to support and adopt the resolution written by Sheriff Mike Lewis to make Wicomico County a Second Amendment sanctuary county. Please join Mike and then citizens and stand up against and send a clear message to Annapolis that we will protect our way of life and freedoms. This past year, like so many before, our state representatives prepared and passed and sent legislation to the governor's desk that would strip away our rights and our way of life. They are basing their documentation from crime statistics of Baltimore City and punishing the rest of the state for them. Please stand against this overreach of Annapolis. Protect our registered gun owners, local gun shops, shooting ranges, hunting clubs, fire departments who use gun giveaways as fundraisers. Protect our fundamental right of self-defense and protect the commerce in which it promotes. Support the 2A sanctuary resolution.
All right, next is from Randy Morris. My name is Randy Morris. I'm a resident of Wicomico County, just west of the airport. The residents outside of city limits moved there to not be part of the city of Salisbury. They did not move there hoping one day to be part of Salisbury. I am strongly against the county giving over residents' properties and surrounding areas to the city of Salisbury. I am strongly against the county spending money on resources only to give it to the city. Already, the city of Salisbury cannot contain its sewers as it flows over into the Wicomico River tributary and watershed of the Chesapeake Bay. How much worse would it harm our environment adding an airport and all the properties around it? If the county is to build a water and sewer line for the airport and surrounding private properties, it should be up to the residents that live there, as that is who it impacts, as well as an environmental impact study from outside the city or county. If the county is to build a water supply system and sewer system after that, it should be managed by the county. It would be best served by voting against giving this area to the city, or at a minimum, allowing the residents of that area to decide.
Okay, next we have a comment from Eileen Johnson with Wicomico Push for Education. I want to share my comment for the Wicomico County Council Tuesday, May 5th work session. Our group of parents, educators, and concerned citizens reiterate our wholehearted support for the Mardella Middle and High School renovations, which are the product of years of planning and public input to be put back into the CIP budget. As most council members know by this point, the students of those schools have struggled to learn in unsafe, overcrowded conditions for decades. We saw how the Mardella Middle High School community turned out and spoke up again and again in order to get their legal right to a safe learning environment. Mr. Culver recognized this need and promised to, quote, find a way to go forward with the planned renovations. The Mardella Middle High School community was heartbroken to learn that the planned renovations had been taken from the CIP. So here we are again, asking that our representatives find a way to work together to get it done. Whatever it takes, please find a way to set aside, solve, or work through issues so that our children may get the education they deserve. We also ask for complete transparency as you move forward. We ask that the council speak out about whatever roadblocks stand in the way of our children getting the education they deserve. Help inform the public about what can be done. One of the last of many things we've heard about this was that Mr. Culver was to meet with the Board of Education to brainstorm solutions, and the Board of Ed was trying to creatively allocate monies to help fund the first portion of the project. Have the Board of Ed and the county executive come up with a solution? Why can't the Board of Ed and the council approach the county executive about finding a solution together?
All right, next is from Michelle Wright, and she says, "Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Wright. I live in Hebron, Maryland, and the Mardella School District. Wow comes to mind when I think about Mardella Middle and High School not getting $1 in the CIP sometime in the next 3 years. I understand that the council doesn't have the authority to put money in the CIP. I understand that this decision is made by Executive Culver. At this point, I only have questions. Number one, how bad does the school have to get between the safety concerns, broken systems, lack of modern technology, and inadequate learning space? Number two, when has Executive Culver met with the Board of Ed since January to find a solution? Number three, why does Executive Culver continue to share different reasons why the current location is not suitable for the renovation to community members that simply are not true? Number four, how much longer are we supposed to wait? Number five, what has Executive Culver done to make the renovation a reality? I know that Executive Culver met with state officials without the Board of Education. Why would he do that? As a leader, Executive Culver should have arranged all three key groups to meet. I understand that during the budget meeting tomorrow night, Executive Culver is asking for a new CFO position in the executive branch, paying $125,000. Is this replacing another position? What will the position provide that we don't already get from an executive, administrator, assistant administrator, and department directors already in place? I don't see where our county benefits $1 from the executive branch, so I am completely opposed to a new position. I can guarantee Executive Culver that this project is not going away. The West Side will not stop until we get what our kids deserve. The West Side community did their job, voiced their wants and needs, and voted to keep Mardella Middle and High School together as one school on the existing property. It is Executive Culver's job to work with the County Council, the Board of Education, and the state of Maryland to fund the county's portion. I know that the majority of the council, if not all, want this project in the CIP. I know that the Board of Education has tried to find a way to keep Mardella Middle and High School in the CIP. I know that the state has been committed to help fund Mardella Middle and High School. The delay from our executive branch, since we have no other choice but to start over, I look forward to being an advocate for Mardella Middle and High School in the next few months. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. I hope you all stay safe and healthy.
The next comment is from Kevin English. I was disheartened to learn that improvements to the Mardella Middle and High School have been removed from the CIP for at least the next 3 years. So for 3 more years, we plan to ask our students in the west side of the county to go without. I find this to be unacceptable and disgraceful. To lean on the uncertainty of the current pandemic as a crutch and use it as justification to push Mardella Middle High School to the back burner yet again is a disservice to each of the staff and students that must work and attempt to learn in the school in its current condition. The students of the west side of this county deserve the same quality of education and opportunities as their counterparts elsewhere in the county. The residents of the west side of the county pay the same steep taxes as the rest west of the county, while those funds are constantly funneled to other schools. I, for one, am sick of it. If the county executive and council can't find a way to make this work, then may your shortcomings to the citizens of the west side be forever memorialized in the ballot box. Mr. Executive, if you had kids at Mardella Middle High School, would you be able to look them in the eyes and ask for them to wait 3 more years for improvements?
All right, and next is from Ashley Teagle. She says, my name is Ashley Teagle, and I'm a resident of Wicomico County and the executive director of Wicomico Public Library. During this challenging time, the library has adapted our service model to support our customers with and without internet access. Wi-Fi is available at the downtown and Pittsfield branches. Customers can use our internet from the safety of their vehicles to conduct their business. Students have access to our internet to complete homework. Customers who had hotspots checked out prior to our closure continue to be able to use them at home. We recognize that not everyone has internet access and that everyone can't come to use our Wi-Fi. For those customers, we are offering a telephone assistance. You can now call 410-749-3612 and use the following extensions: 4 for children's, 5 for adult information, 3 for library cards and library account questions to get help. For our customers with internet access, we invite them to follow us on Facebook at Wicomico Public Library for updates and links to resources. Customers may also visit our website, wicomicolibraries.org, to access all of our digital resources, including our ebooks and digital audiobook collection. For customers who don't currently have a library card, they can now sign up to get one online and get immediate access to all of our digital resources. As we look forward to reopening the library's buildings, I would ask council to keep in mind that our library is an integral to community healing. Customers continue to rely on the library as a place to get assistance finding the information they need from reputable sources. The library continues to promote digital literacy by pivoting our services online. We are anticipating shifting our programs to an online format until it is safe to meet again in person. The library continues to be a source of critical information. We are active participants in the Salisbury-Wicomico Complete Count Committee. The library provides access to important government forms and services from voter registration to tax forms. The library will be the place for job seekers and small business owners to connect to resources and employment. Job seekers can continue to get assistance at our job search center, and small business owners can rely on us for a resource to navigate all of the information that's out there. After so much time apart, the library will be the place to bring our community back together again. As soon as it's safe to do so, your neighborhood librarians will be back in the branches, helping you find your next great read, having story time, and offering programs and services to promote lifelong learning in the community. Thank you.
I know that Lynn was breaking up a little bit when she was reading that telephone number, so I'm just going to read it one more time for the public. This is for the library assistance number. It's 410-749-3612. The next public comment is from Kara Brown, a parent of a Mardella student. Good afternoon. I am writing in support of the Mardella Middle High School renovations being returned to the county CIP. To be honest, I find it very disconcerting that this is the second time in a year, the last meeting was May 7th of 2019, that I've had to protest for my child's education. It is especially upsetting since we, and as community, we were placed in the budget by Mr. Culver over a year ago to only be removed. Then, as a community, we fought successfully to be returned to the budget, only to be yet again removed. I have attended the county council meetings, and at no meeting was the possibility of being removed mentioned until I found out it happened in a closed-door meeting with the minutes not released for almost a month. In general, this entire process has seemed very shady and frustrating as a parent. I'm asking you to please return Mardella to the CIP. Mardella students are often forgotten because we are not an in-town school and we have few issues, but this is penalizing our students for working hard. We are an amazing community school that works hard with what we are given, but we could do so much more with better facilities. Please reconsider and return Mardella once again to the CIP. Our students deserve to be given equal facilities to the in-town schools. Thank you for your time and consideration, Kara Brown. And Mr. President, that is all the public comments for tonight.
Wallow.
Mute him,
Mr. Dodd?
Okay, I was muted. My apologies. Thank you, Lynn and Ms. Hurley for reading those comments. They were very long. PAC 14 just came in the room and asked that we take a quick break so that they can change the CDs. So if you would, we'd take a 5-minute break and come back and start with council comments.